Good afternoon. Is this on? Okay, great. Welcome to the Redmond Chamber of Commerce's State of the City with our illustrious Mayor George Endicott. And we're live in person and on the air as well. So great to see people and not being stuck on a Zoom screen. So thank you all for attending and coming. Our luncheon today is sponsored by St. Charles Health System, so thank you, St. Charles, for sponsoring our luncheon. And we are live streaming with the help of Audio Visions Plus, so thank you, Audio Visions, for your help. And thank you for being flexible with us here and moving our location at the last minute. And the Deschutes County Fair and Expo is having us here, so we're glad to be live in person with you here. Some of our public officials we have joining us today. We have Jack Zika, District 53 State Representative. We have City Councilor Chrisanna George. Try again. Chrisanna Gregory Clark Endicott, City Councilor. Let's see, what else am I forgetting here? I think that's it. But we, again, are so thankful to have you joining us. It's so nice to see people face to face again, and appreciate you breaking out of this very unusual year and kind of reconnecting with us. And it's going to be my pleasure to introduce George Endicott, our mayor, and he's going to come up and give us the state of the city.
Well, thank you all. I find that I'm socially distanced, and I know that when you wear the mask, it tends to block your voice a little bit. Not that I couldn't use a little muffling, but I think you're clearer if you don't have the mask, and I think I'm okay without it, at least for standing up here by myself. As Eric just said, this is really an unusual year. It's very weird. You know, it has been now, as we all know, for months. And I'm going to do my best to go through the presentation I've got. There's quite a few slides. And I just want to let you know up front, the whole theme is kind of growth. As you all know, we have been growing pretty rapidly. Where have we been? Where are we going? And it'll look like I'm jumping around a little bit, but there's so many different subject areas to cover. So I'll be going through them. So welcome. You'll be hearing how our partnership and teamwork have made us the city that we are. And I think you all know that, you know, we really focus on our investments in infrastructure, public safety, the economy, and we're always moving. And you'll be hearing more about me later about our growth patterns and where we think we're going. And I like to always hear what other people have to say about Redmond. And I'll give you a couple of quotes. Redmond is business friendly. And that's from Steve Bettis over at Medline. Redmond gets things done. That's from the county commissioners. Redmond is responsive. That's from our friends here at the chamber. And then finally, one of my favorites is Frank Bonaqueste from KB&D. I go on the radio show with him once a month, and he always introduces me as the mayor of the city that gets it. And I'm not sure what that implies about others, but certainly Redmond is a city that gets it. So I'll start going through these. Let's take a look at the city to start with, kind of a snapshot of where we are. You notice that we're at about 210 employees now. For those of you that were around back in the height of the recession, about 2010, we had about 140. Just to give you some idea of the growth that we've been going through. We have 15 different funds. We have a total budget of about $108 million. For For those of you that are numbers geeks, about 33.5 million of that is in the general fund, funds of police, city hall, road maintenance, those kinds of things. And then all the rest are enterprise funds, things like water, wastewater, the airport, and so forth. So we have a whole mix of all the different funds. And so when you look at our budget and where we stand, you know, we've been conservative over the years. Some say frugal, but that's okay with me too, because we have been very conservative, and that's held us in very good stead. I mentioned the recession a few minutes ago. You know, we didn't have to lay off anybody during the recession. And we did a really, really good job of maintaining things. One of the things we're quite proud of is our PCI, our pavement condition index. The national goal is 80, and we perpetually run at 82. So we're above the national standard. So that's one of those things that we really take pride in. We also run now, we started a few years ago, running a 5-year forecast model. So we really have this moving average of where should we be 5 years from now, you know, 1 year, 2 years, so forth, out to 5. And we keep that model going all the time. And then we get from our budget folks, or from Jason, we get every quarter an update on how well we're doing. And we just got our last meeting, and we're spot on where we thought we were going to be at the end of the year. So our budgeting is doing very, very well. And Jack, you guys cannot steal our budget analyst to go to Salem. We just heard this morning that our PERS forecast coming out of the state is actually better than we thought it might be. We had budgeted quite a bit more money to go into PERS than it looks like we're going to have to spend over the next biennium. So we're going to have, was it 300,000, I think, that we might have available that we didn't think that we would. So it's great to hear that. Okay, so given all of that and the COVID and so forth, we are still investing in our town and our community. And here's a few projects that we're working on. Any of you that drive South Canal Boulevard are quite familiar now with the roundabout, and I'll be talking about that in a second. But given our current situation, what we're trying to do, we're going to do a wastewater expansion. I mentioned that growth is sort of a theme. You know, I'll be talking more about the numbers later, but we're expected to go to 40 or 50,000 in the next 20 years. And so we do have to accommodate that growth. That's also one of the things we're proud of in Redmond, is that we plan for that and we accommodate for that. So here you see a number of about 40 million for a new wastewater treatment plant or an expansion of the current one. We're now discussing in that council level what's the best approach we should use to accommodate that growth that we're going to have. Also at the other end, you see there's a $15 million water facility going in right now. And any of you that drive over Reservoir Drive over on the south end of town, you'll see that great big hole. Well, that's going to be a 4 million gallon water tank there with a new well. So that's all under construction right now. And in fact, I was by there this morning and it's getting all level and they're getting ready to start, I think, on the tank. And then finally, the middle one, we have a new building going in out at the airport to house all of our firefighting equipment and snow plows, that kind of thing. It's a brand new facility. It's a beautiful building. And we had planned that quite some time ago. And of course, the airport, we get a lot of money, as you all know, I think, from the Federal Aviation Administration. The other thing that we do is take quite a bit of time and take a look at, are there ways to refinance? Again, I'll go back to Jason. He's always looking for opportunities. And I do have an example here for you. And I'm sorry to read it, but I will. In March, the council unanimously approved an ordinance to refinance approximately 17 million of outstanding debt. This action results in a 20% reduction in the annual debt payments associated with the terminal expansion for the airport from 2009. The fiscal restructuring will save us about $6.2 million over the next 13 years. And we see those time after time. I mean, Jason must come to us about twice a year and say, hey, I've got another deal for us. And we'd love to hear that because we're saving you money as well as ourselves. Okay, COVID, one of our favorite subjects. We all have these today. You notice I'm color coordinated today with my mask, and I see others. I think Kara had her mask that color coordinates with her clothes. So anyway, we're all doing what we can, I guess. So with the airport, we have been getting money in from the federal government. You all heard about the CARES Act, and probably the schools, I guess, are getting some as well. But for the airport, we were really lucky. We got almost $9 million, and we do spend about $750,000 a month to run the airport. So that COVID money really saves us, and we're able to maintain full operations out at the airport during this. And I do have a slide on airport ops later. So community development, we did get some money for our CDBG, Community Development Block Grants. And I do have a chart here. We're getting about $75,000 go to Thrive Central Oregon, who will help low and moderate clientele with their household needs, rent, utility arrears, those sorts of things. We are giving $18,000 to the Senior Meals on Wheels so that we can maintain the senior meals, which has gotten extremely difficult, as you might imagine. And then finally, we've given $30,000 to the Latino Community Association, again with homelessness prevention and utility and rent payments for the community that they support. And then finally, we got some money for the police department for their PP&E and coronavirus supplemental funding. Okay, so where are we on growth? I mentioned a little bit ago, I talked about where we think we're going to be. So if you look at a 20-year growth breakdown, we're predicting almost 17,500 people over the next 20 years, equating to 900 per year, about 2.5 people a day. I'm not sure where we get the half a person, but yeah, terrible joke, I know. So anyway, we're seeing people, they constantly move in. I mean, any of you that drive around town and you look at the new construction, I was just talking to John Pavlicek a few minutes ago before we started, and look at the growth out where he's got his development. Everything that's built is sold about the day or before it's even finished. Apartments are rented about the time they get done, and apartment rents are not cheap. I'll be going over some of that in a few minutes about how we're looking at affordable housing. But, you know, that's just one of the things. And our housing growth, despite COVID-19, you know, it just continues to grow here. And I know we have Angela down here and Amber, who handles mortgages, and they'll tell you they're just as busy as ever with, you know, every day they're showing houses and closing on them and of course financing them. And of course our staff too. I can't forget our staff and do a shout out for them because they work their tails off, you know, and with this COVID, I mean, City Hall's closed to the public, which many of you know that have tried to get in, but our staff works. They're working from home. They're working in the office. You know, they all many of us have kids that they have to worry about. How do they homeschool or get their kids to class and still do their work? I mean, you know, at the city, we see it all the time, but I know almost everybody in here faces that same dilemma. How do you do the work and family business in these tough times? And so we see it too. Permits. I mentioned that we continue to grow. Now, this chart is showing all of last year compared to almost 9 months of this year. So that orange, we actually have more permits that we've approved or in the pipeline this year than we had all of last year, and we still have 3 months to go. So that's pretty impressive in terms of growth. And so what does that mean? That means long-range planning really matters. And that then brings us to the 2040 comp plan update. So any of you that have been involved in the planning process know kind of what, or in land use or any of those, know about the comp plan. You know, it has several chapters that are included in it. We have land use, water, transportation, parks, and so forth, several chapters that you actually have to do strategic plans for to finally end up with your comp plan. We had more people participate in the public outreach this year, and I'm going to emphasize that. We had over 700 people participate in our whole comp plan open houses and town halls, and that's a new number for us by quite a bit. And that just says many of you in this room were quite involved and came to some of those meetings and really help us do how that planning works. So I'm going to show you a video here, and it'll give you a sense of what that looked like.
Hi, my name is John Roberts, Deputy City Manager for the City of Redmond. I'm proud to have had the opportunity to lead the city's comprehensive plan 2040 update process. The city's comprehensive plan is its primary land use and planning document. It establishes a series of goals and policies that guide and manage our community's growth and development for the next 20 years. Since our last update, the city has experienced pronounced growth and development. Today, Redmond is a community of over 30,000 and is expected to grow to more than 50,000 residents by 2040. The challenge and opportunity is to create strategies that respond to this regional growth while retaining Redmond's most valued and defining characteristic that stitches our vision and aspirations together, our small town character and charm. To be successful, the comprehensive plan has to balance the interests of the community as it continues to change. As such, the comprehensive plan is a community-inspired and community-driven plan and is a tangible result of our collaboration. A diverse and thoughtful citizenry provided the foundation of values upon which the comprehensive plan is built. During the process, we work with over 700 residents, employees, business owners, community partners, and stakeholders.
A comprehensive plan, in and of its core, is essentially a roadmap for the next 20 years of Redmond's future. Getting people engaged in that conversation is so important because it means that it charts the path for what the next generation will want to be doing and seeing and having for the city. So Redmond's strategy for doing community engagement up at the front end of this project and doing really good community engagement where you have a lot of boots on the ground and you go where your people are at is one of the most powerful things about this project.
Just asking people questions on the street is not enough. We really need to help people understand what is the importance of this document. And I think the city's done an extraordinary job of that.
The Olympics and talking with the high schoolers, and they all really had such a love and passion and care for this community, and specifically the small town interconnectedness of Redmond. They all really love Redmond, and one of the components of that was that people want to find ways to be able to come back here. They want employment opportunities. They want to be a lovely space to return to, should they leave for college or higher education, or should they stay right out of high school? They want to be able to space.
People know that they know what their neighborhoods look like. And so when the consultants in the city asks, what are the improvements you'd like to see from transit to the different types of housing, mixed-use neighborhoods, hospitals, schools, all fire stations, all of these things, what would you like to see in your neighborhoods? People know, they know the community. And they just need to be asked. And that's exactly what this process is doing.
As I see the 2040 plan, shape, what I see is Redmond having a lot of the same core characteristics as we go forward another 20 years, but also adapting to change as we continue to grow, as younger people continue to move here, speak with families. I don't think we're displacing anything that is important to us as citizens of Redmond, but we're building on that and building a future with more good parks, more good schools, and more transportation.
What's really amazing is that all of the outreach that we did and all of the themes that we heard through those first 6 months of engagement are directly reflected in the engagement statement for the city of Redmond. So it's one thing to write a plan, it's another thing to see it through, and I think doing something like this in Redmond is really, is really powerful because we have the right leadership here to do that.
We look forward to putting our plan into action and collaborating with our stakeholders to continue to keep Redmond a great place to live, work, and visit for generations to come.
All right, great job done by all. And of course, I was talking to John Roberts this morning, and he said, thank goodness we got it all done before COVID, because how would you try and arrange and get all that public input, now? I mean, as we heard Eric say a few minutes ago, this is one of the first actual person-to-person meetings that we've had now in 6 months. And, we all get nervous about it, but we're doing the social distancing, wearing our masks when we're not at the table eating and so forth. So it's just part of that new normal that we have, at least for a while. All right, come on, vaccine. Okay, so while we've gone through all that, and of course I talked a little bit about what's happened to the cost of housing. Yesterday we were at a place and we heard that rents, $1,100 to $1,300 a month. I mean, how in the world are people affording that? And so one of the big issues, I know it's a state priority, and it is for us as well, and that is affordable housing. That seems to be number one on the agenda for the governor on down, including, of course, the legislature, both the Senate and the House over in Salem, and so are we. Well, we were fortunate enough, we have two major projects going on right now in Redmond that are both affordable housing projects. They're on this slide. We have Midtown Place. When you hear about public-private partnerships, and that might be one of the solutions. Well, we have two of those in place right now. The first one is Midtown Village, and that is with Neighbor Housing Works, sorry. And that's going to be 44 units of affordable housing, which, is defined to be folks that are at the lower end of the scale in terms of median income, and they'll be able to afford, quote unquote, the rent. The rent's going to be in the $500 range, as I understand it. And then the second one is Midtown Place. Skyline Village, excuse me. And that one is also with Housing Works, but that's going to be a half and half affordable housing and market rate housing. And we have to do a huge shout out to the county on this one. They donated the land, 40 acres, just to make this project work. So we're going to build about 485 units out there. I already told you that half will be market and half won't. And that's going to be a mix of housing types that will go in there. The other thing I'll tell you right now, in Central Oregon, the cost of land for development is now going for about $150,000 an acre. So if you think about that, the county donated 40 acres at about that kind of price range. That really puts that into that affordable range. I'm going to move on to the next subject area, and that's transportation, one of our favorites. And Chrisanna likes to say it's really boring, but really necessary. And that's actually true. I mentioned the roundabout at Pumice and South Canal, and that is well underway. They're supposed to be done here fairly soon now. I came through there yesterday, and they were doing a pretty good job of controlling traffic while they were actually putting the pavement down right now to get that roundabout finished. So that's right there opposite Safeway. And then on the other side, that old vacant lot there, if you go by, you also see it under construction. And that is going to be about 200 apartments in that area. So again, we see development continue. And then if you go down a little further south, on the other side of the road there, you'll see another development that's being planned next to Cinder Rock Vet Clinic. So we have all kinds of building going on, and yet everyone fills up. I don't know where all the folks are coming from. In terms of some of the other work that we've been doing some maintenance. I mentioned we take pride in our roads. We're doing about 1 2/3 miles of overlays. If you do overlays on roads, that adds about 7 years to the life of a road. And we've done a really fine job of when we put our roads in, and we work very hard to maintain them so we don't have to spend a lot of money to replace them. You also have seen, if you use the Maple Street Bridge, that we had to do a lot of maintenance on that this year. It's hard to believe it's been in 10 years already. And so that is a 10-year project to go and do some resealing and repaving on that road. We completed 60 ADA ramps. I'm quite a believer in ADA. I think it's a very important part of our community. Work with the ADA folks all the time, and I'm quite proud that our crew knows that every road project, they better be doing the ramps with it, not only because it's law, but it's also a priority for the council. And then some other street improvements that we had to do down Hemlock and 19th. So that's all done right now. So I'm going to jump to the airport. 1 million passengers was our prediction for this year, actually 1,080,000. And we were well on our way. And then a funny little bug got in the way, COVID-19. At the height, at the depth of passenger traffic, the worst day we had, TSA processed 50 people. Before COVID hit, we were processing 1,500 people. So you can imagine we were down at something like 4% on that one day, and it dipped and it stayed down there for a while, and it slowly but surely climbed back up. Found out at a staff meeting this morning that we're back up to about 50% of normal in terms of passenger traffic flow through the airport. We maintained all of our commercial flights. 36 flights a day is still going to 10 nonstop locations around the Western United States. As far, well, Chicago, they doesn't run in the winter, so it'll start again next summer. But I mentioned 1 million passengers. We actually have about 100,000 takeoff and landings a day at Redmond Airport. Now that includes a flying school and everything, but that keeps those poor guys in the tower pretty busy. And then we also maintain about 111 miles of pavement when you consider the runways, the taxiways, the parking lots, and so forth. So that's quite a bit of maintenance we do on the ground. And then finally, we have about 100,000 car rentals annually. And, well, I shouldn't tell you, that's pretty lucrative actually for us, that and parking. So the 48,000 at park, thank you all very much, because that brings in every car that parks, we get a few bucks out of that deal. And we finished quite a few projects too, as we've been going. We now have a new lot expansion. It'll hold another 482 cars. So we can now maintain about 1,700 parking spaces out there, accommodate, about 1,700 cars. And for any of you that traveled a year ago in the spring break, I think was the worst we ever had, where the lots were actually completely full. And last year, it was either 3 or 5 times we actually completely filled up our lots, hence the expedited push to build that new lot. So we should be in good shape now for a while. And then TSA is bringing on a third security line. It's been built. We're just waiting for the equipment. It's supposed to be in this fall. You never know with the feds, but we are expecting it to come in. The terminal ramp expansion has been finished. We're added 2 more new parking spaces. You know, we have 9 planes that do what they call RON, remain overnight. And every night we have 9 planes that park. Well, I don't know if they are right now because of COVID, but prior to COVID, we had 9 planes that spend the night here every night. And any of you that do the ODark 30 flights are well aware, you know, when we go somewhere, it seems like we're always on a 6 a.m. flight up at 4 a.m. Oh my God, you know, we still need that hotel near the airport, any of you that are developers. And we still are maintaining all of our direct destinations, Vegas, Mesa, and so forth. So glad to see that still going on. And towards the end of this, I'll be talking about a satisfaction survey, and a lot of the city gets very high marks on that. So I'm going to move on into downtown here for a little bit. the historic hotel, you're well aware of, I think, any of you that have gone up to the rooftop bar and watched the sunset. You know, it's a great venue. They're actually planning on doing a restaurant type affair down in the lobby area, I guess. And so that's underway, or has been finished by now, I'm not sure. Occupancy is exceeding expectations. They're getting 60 to 80% occupancy. And you know what? About 40% of that is locals. People just want to go spend the night, kind of, have a romantic evening or whatever, have dinner and spend the night downtown. And then we're also, because of this, one of the goals of the Urban Renewal District and doing the hotel was to see increased downtown pedestrian traffic, and we are seeing that. So the hotel is helping us accomplish that mission of getting more people downtown. Now I'm waiting to see what's happened. We had 4 restaurants that closed as a result. Let's see, Red Martini, Becerra's, Soup to Nuts, and one other one. Anyway, and 2 of those that I'm aware of are now under rehabilitation. So hope to see those open back up fairly soon. But the whole effort on the hotel was about a $12 million effort. And that, again, was a private public partnership to get that open. Next, parking. This is one of Angela's favorite spots in town. Those of you that are crab crack aficionados are well aware of that. And we actually got a new venue this year down in that parking lot. And Angela's comment was, I don't care what you do, as long as you make sure I can do my tents the 1st of February every year and do crab crack. So we're working on it, Angela. So anyway, here's the layout. And of course, the crab crack goes down this big long section over here, closest to me. And so anyway, we're adding 120 new spaces in this area. And then also, you may not know, there's a little lot over at 4th and Evergreen that's blocked off. We own that as well. And that's going to create another 40 new spaces for parking. So we're going to have 2 parking lots, one over by 7th, and the other one over by 4th. So we're going to increase the capacity of downtown parking by about 160 spaces here in the near future. And then I mentioned development growth, but I'm going to here talk about wage growth. And I'm going to do a shout out for John Stark on this one, because the work he's done for Redmond is just phenomenal. It's second to none. And if you look at this chart, I'm telling you, our manufacturing, the employment growth, 88.4% in the last 10 years. I'll say all that during my tenure as mayor, of course. But, and I keep saying you don't have to be real smart, so I have to be smart enough to hire smart people. Hence, we've got John working for us. And then the other one here, 97.7% wage increase. That's incredible. And on this one, I'm going to do an applause for John. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you've done for us. It's just incredible, and it continues, right? Team effort. All right. Next, I'm going to go on to our new attempt at an urban renewal project. A lot of you heard me now for years. Well, then I'm aware of 10 years in the planning for the South 97 Corridor project. We have been trying to figure out a way to improve that corridor. The way I like to tell the story is you go all the way back to the 60s and 70s when you look at the way towns developed. And you can go to Yuma, Arizona, you can go to Chicopee, Massachusetts, I don't care. And you're going to find that everybody was building strip malls along highways. And we're also, I was going to say guilty of that, not really, it was just the way we did it back then. But what we found, of course, is increased traffic, and the flows are different than they used to be. There's more truck traffic than there was in the past. And that middle lane's called the suicide lane for a reason. I'm trying to remember how many accidents we've had on that corridor. Oh, here it is. We've averaged 43 crashes a year in that corridor, and it's predicted to go up to over 70. And that's just unacceptable. And so what we're doing is, again, trying to figure out a way to leverage money to start improving that corridor. We figure 50 to 60 million. And of course, ODOT, that money is not there, at least that in those kinds of numbers. So we're trying to form this urban renewal district. The purpose, of course, is to increase safety, mobility, economic vitality, and that whole list you see over on the right side here. The other thing, of course, is the huge industrial, almost 1,000 acres of the industrial land down to the south that we want to see developed. So what do you get if you do an urban renewal district? Well, you get leverage, right? It makes it easier to try and get some state and federal funding because we're putting a lot more money into the game, or skin in the game, if you will. Then we have infrastructure down there that we need to put in to be able to develop the large lot industrial land. And then, of course, safety. That corridor does need to be improved and fix the safety, as we also improve traffic flow and throughput. You know, that is a major north-south corridor, and you hear me from time to time talk about the Cascadia, and if that event happens, 97 becomes the main north-south corridor in the state of Oregon. You think it's bad now, just wait, would be a comment on that one. So anyway, we're now working on this, and we've been on it for years now, and we're getting closer. Parks. I think I'm really pretty proud of our parks and what we've been doing over the last few years. You've often heard me talk about the playground down in the canyon and how great it is, Hope Playground. And we see it all. I heard someone yesterday talking about that playground and how great it is, and their kids just love going. And an interesting comment here, COVID-19's brought more people out. You know, the kids aren't playing so much in the backyards with their friends. They're going to parks where they have some space to move around, and we're glad to see it. And of course, we've got some new innovative, both Baker and Kalima parks have been rebuilt. And then of course, there's a dry canyon every day. If you're driving over Maple Street Bridge, for example, you see people down there walking, running, riding their bikes and so forth. So that is a great amenity. And, I remember, I'm going to digress here. When I was a kid, we lived on Canyon Drive, and we owned land down into the canyon where we had horses and pastures. And that whole stretch from, probably Maple Avenue down to Antler was all pastures. And you really couldn't traverse the canyon through there because we all had fences, including my family. And my uncle, who was right up the road. So, the fact that back in the 80s, I guess there was a great vision for the Parks Commission in those days, and they decided to go ahead and try and do something. I think as I remember, the prompting issue was a golf course, right? Eric, you were here, and there was a huge uproar. I remember my parents used to mail me the Redmond Spokesman. Oh my gosh. Life, excuse me for a minute. Life as we knew it was going to end. So a group of dedicated canyon lovers got together and fought to preserve the canyon. And I went back and in City Hall, I found an old map of the Canyon Master Plan from like 1984, something like that. And sure enough, what we see today, improved areas, unimproved areas, natural areas, the paths and so forth, have really, Redmond does an excellent job of long-term planning, and some of that stuff goes way back years and years. And preserving the canyon has turned out to be just a jewel, which brings us to the next one here, and that is Quartz Park. At the very south end of the canyon, we've got a chunk of land down there. If you've driven on Quartz Avenue and you look to the north, you see a pump station. Excuse me. Throat's getting dry now. So where that pump station is, we have all that vacant land, but it's still, some of it's improved. So we've decided to build a new park down there. And so you see that start to come for spring of 2021. We're going to start that project and see how that goes. Should be great. And finally, Maple Avenue staircase. Paul Hathaway Overlook Park is right there next to the Maple Street Bridge. Paul died in, he was a city councilor. He died in 2005, actually on the operating table. And I was appointed to replace him. And he was a great guy. I really like Paul a lot. And so he, we decided to name that park in his honor back in about 2007. And we've been planning a staircase since 2007, if you can imagine. And then it hit a priority again in 2018. So we're now going to put another access down into the canyon there. Sorry. I've got my surprise coming. Okay. All right. So, as most of you know, last several years, I've picked a Citizen of the Year. I started that tradition. Believe it or not, I actually got it from Chris Anna when she was mayor of Sherwood, and she was doing the Citizen of the Year award for people. And I thought, I want to start that because I realize the chamber has Volunteer of the Year and they have a lot of things, but I think as mayor, it's always good just to look around the community and try and acknowledge somebody that's done something special for our town. And actually, the three last recipients are in the room today. So we have John and Angela and Eric. Eric was the first one to get one, and then Angela and then John. So I'm giving my fourth one today, and I'll tell you, this person has just been selfless in the generosity for the community over the years. And I'll just stop the surprise. So let me talk a little bit about Amber. And, I already mentioned she was selfless in giving, and she really is. And the fact that she helped me with my refinance has nothing to do with this award, just so you know. So I'll read a little bit here. Weekly over the last 8 months, Amber has purchased and delivered coffee to the Veterans Ranch. She donates to 4 different charities every paycheck. She created a Giving Back to the Badge, Central Oregon Facebook group that surprises local organizations with a pick-me-up, treats and thank yous. She supports Shop with a Cop, Redmond Cares, donates toward local campaigns like the school bonds and the senior centers. And there's another big, long list of things. REA president this year founded some organizations. So I'm telling you, when I got thinking about this award and who deserved it, I could think of someone that no more deserving than, so come on up here, Amber. So every once in a while you get payback,
Thank you.
So here's a key to the city for Redmond, and it says, in honor of her dedicated community service. So thank you once again for all you do for Redmond.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
And we have the box for, we'll get it later. So anyway, sorry, boy. So now that brings us, that was the end of my slides. That was about 45 minutes, so not too bad. So questions, if anybody has any, I will try and entertain them. Anybody? I hope not, because my throat's going dry. But all right. Well, we've covered a lot of territory. Remember, there's an election coming up here fairly soon. Oh, I'm sorry, John, please.
You know, I can't go over maybe without some kind of question.
Okay.
One of the problems we've always had in Redmond is downtown core area for shopping. And these retail shops have a tough time. What is a city, or county, or whatever, come up with some thoughts to make it financially easier for those people? Maybe doing something with their county taxes, maybe doing something, because we're gonna have a draw. And the only draw we have right now is restaurants. We have some good restaurants in town. But if we want to get other variety of things and get people, and stop people from driving to work all the time, we gotta make it financially feasible. And I don't know if the city council has given any thoughts to that.
Well, we do talk about it from time to time. The problem is the tools we have are fairly limited. I guess we could do some sort of a property tax abatement, but most of the buildings that are owned downtown are not owned by the businesses that are in them. They're all leased. We've had some cases where there's been some lease relief, but it doesn't happen very often for whatever reason. You know, people buy buildings to invest, make a little money on them. I guess I could say that if people like me are watching the interest rates and want to refinance, that's a tool maybe available to them. But as far as a city tool, the only thing we could do is something like property tax abatement, John. And honestly, we haven't talked about it, but we could bring it up. In fact, we're having a joint meeting with the Planning Commission tonight. So,
See, if you could get the county to do that, then you could go to the landlord and have him reduce the rent that much.
yeah,
He would still be making the same amount of money, but it would be easier on the tenant.
gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll bring it up tonight. Okay. It's the only one I can think of. I do have one other thing I wanted to talk to you about. I threw it in just in case I had a little extra time. And this is a snapshot from the annual survey that we do every year. And these numbers are as of yesterday. So we had 922 people have responded so far to the survey. And so here's a few notes. How happy are you about living in your neighborhood? 85%. Redmond as a whole, 85.5%. And I'll tell you, anything over 70 is great on a survey. How would you rate the following? Attractiveness, 72. Family-friendly, 78. Shopping, 53. Dining, 68. How would you rate city services? Now, this one I kind of like. Police, 80. Water, 80. Airport, 83.5. Parks, 87. Street maintenance, 71. That one I don't get. We do a great job on our road. And then how would you rate the city's overall performance? 79. And of those that responded to the survey, here's an interesting little side note. 79% don't commute. So the ones that are answering are the ones that live here and work here for the most part. So I think those are really good numbers for Redmond. I hope you've enjoyed what I had to say today. You know, my love of Redmond continues. It's the greatest town in, well, I don't know, what's one of my opponents say? The earth, maybe? So, yeah, Redmond's doing a great job. Happy to sit. Eric, I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my throat went dry.
I understand. It's terrible. I understand. That's part of the Zoom thing. We're not used to speaking that much, and you have to kind of sit and watch. So thank you very much, George. That was fantastic information. And the one thing I'd like to say about, I was here when the 2020 plan was created. Now it's the 2040 plan. And the big thing in 2020 was we wanted the highway moved out of downtown. And we were all excited about that. And we literally moved the highway and flipped the switch 2008. And that's also when the economy went, phew. I feel like the same thing is happening now with going 2040. We spent a lot of time and interest trying to get that hotel reopened. And again, they open their doors, COVID hits. There's going to be a lot of, I think, exciting things happening in our downtown. And the hotel is going to be one of those catalysts that will kind of think, bring people downtown and start people walking back downtown again. I was thinking about the roads. Why do we not do well on roads? I think it's got to be the last couple snowstorms. I mean, our public works people do phenomenal jobs getting that snow removed. But if it's not out in front of your house immediately, maybe take it down a little bit lower, because I think we have fantastic streets. With the chamber, as COVID hit, amazing readjustment. I mean, everything we had planned, all of our summer events, we had to reimagine. One of the big things we do with our coffee clatters every Friday is we raise money for other events or other nonprofits. And so we're figuring out, well, how do we replace that money that we would have been contributing to some other nonprofits in the area? We typically give around $6,000 to $7,000 a year to other nonprofits. And this year, we're going to have a golf tournament at Halloween. So on the 30th, Friday before Halloween, we're going to have the first annual Goblins and Ghouls golf tournament at Juniper. And if you want to play golf, we have openings for 100 people. And with the money that we raise from this golf tournament, we are going to fund several other nonprofits, including the Chamber, because we do it with the Giving Tree. Every Child, Shop with a Cop, Brightside, Jericho Road, Rimrock Trails, Clear Alliance, J-Bar-J Youth Ranch, and Family Access. So if you want to help us support these other events, we'd love to have you come play golf with us. But it's been a year of really trying to figure out how are we going to help? How are we going to figure out getting people some assistance that they needed? We've helped hand out PPE. We've helped with grants. The Chamber is really kind of not focused on tourism because we haven't been able to invite people into our front door, which is killing us. That's all that we want to do is figure out how to bring people in, how to welcome people downtown, how to welcome people to our resorts and to our country, into the skiing and hiking and fishing. And we're just not able to do that right now. So we're really focusing on other things and getting our businesses through this COVID environment. So come help us with the golf tournament, and we should have a great time and hopefully support those. We're also going to help with the internship coordinator. John Charles was here somewhere. There he is in the back. We hope to have money to give you some assistance as well from this golf tournament. So it's a great way to help that program. I know Angela has the crab crack coming up. We're trying to figure out how are we going to do that? Are we going to do that? So November. Just know that we are there to help if there's anything we can do to help with that, because there's a lot of great causes that are supported through group activities. And when we can't do group activities, we're having to reinvent the wheel. So we appreciate you all being flexible and coming out to this. We were actually at the event center at Eaglecrest at Deschutes County Fair and Expo. We typically would have some in the South Sister, but the fighters are in the South Sister. So we moved over here to this location to help accommodate with what the Expo Center is doing. And we appreciate you all for coming, and first time seeing each other face to face, which is a refreshing treat. And hopefully we will be seeing more of you in the near future. So thank you all for coming. I think that's it. And congratulations, Amber. I couldn't think of a better person to receive that. So thank you. Yeah. And I also before I let you go, thank my staff, because without Kara and Caleb and Amanda, we wouldn't be here. We're down one person, so there's only 4 of us in the office now. But we hope to bring that back up when things kind of recover. But thank you all for your assistance. Thank you, Kara, Amanda, and Caleb. Caleb's on the audio side of things right now. So thank you, and we'll see you again soon.